Good evening, Second Baptist, and welcome to Family Check-In. I hope and pray your day was wonderful and great. I'm glad that you've tuned in with us, and we ask that you get a group going. Let everybody know that we're on. We got a very wonderful program today, and I'll tell you about it in just a minute. Before we do that, let me say that today was Consecration Sunday. We had a wonderful time in consecration. We had our officers and our ministries and our members. We were all consecrated. The choir did a wonderful job singing consecration, and I hope that you'll enjoy that today. It was a beautiful time of ministry, reconsecrating ourselves, separating ourselves apart for the service of God. And we're grateful for all of our ministries, and all of them were represented today. And we are sorry for those who ministries were not on the list today, but we know that we'll get you on. Maybe that's the catalyst to make sure you get all your officers' name into the office. But we're really grateful and thankful for a wonderful, wonderful service today. And before we go any further, let me just say we express our condolences to the whole Spence family and the passing of Terry's sister, and we are praying for you. That funeral will be here on Tuesday. Her name is Robin, and we ask for prayers for that family. I also want to lift up Sister Howes, Lynn Howes, in the passing of her husband who was funeralized yesterday, Lamont, and so we ask your continued prayers for them. We are, just want to remind you, we are leaving to go to Tanzania next month on the 19th, and on the same day we're going to have another chosen launch. We're going to the very village that we are supporting, that we have about 40 kids that we are sponsoring. We want to increase that number before I go, and so if you missed the first launch, you'll have the opportunity to do so. And we're really thankful for those who have been committed and followed through in making your commitments for the children, making their lives a whole lot much more better. We do want to, my wife is not able to be here today, but don't worry, I got some special guests. I got two girlfriends here, some young chicks that's going to be with us today, and my wife's going to be very, very jealous, but we're really grateful and thankful to have them come and share with us. But before they come, we're going to have them, our special guests with us today, and you better tell everybody, you want to see Pastor Dave's girlfriends in person and live, you better tune in. We are really grateful today. Again, as I said, the choir really blessed us. And we're going to hear them today for those of you that may have missed it. But if you did see it, you're going to be blessed again. The Inspirational Choral Ensemble were just awesome today. And after that, we're going to have our very special guests. Let everybody know. Get the rumor mill going. Get the gossip started, because Pastor Dave's girlfriend's going to be here. Right after this, you're going to see them. They're going to be live and on. So please be a part of this. Thank you for joining in. And before we do that, let me say thank you, Brother Hoskins, for coming and being a part of this. Brother Wilkinson, Sister Mobley, Reverend Archibald, Sister Bunch, Sister Bostic, Roberts, Sister Moss, Sister Abdullah, and Brother Faulkner. We're grateful, Donnie Fisher, Julie, and we're grateful for all of you for joining. Please let everybody know we're on. This is a really good program as we share today. Do not miss it. Let everybody know we're on. And enjoy the Inspirational Choral Ensemble. Look at these two beautiful young ladies who's sharing with us tonight. We have Sister Braxton and Sister Helena Nelson. We are grateful to have them tonight in honor of Black History Month, and they're going to be sharing. And I got a co-host today. I'm really happy to have a co-host today, and this is brother, as everyone knows, Brother Cy Nelson. And for many of you, this is your first time seeing his whole face, because he's like, what's the show? Home Improvement.
Wilson.
Wilson on the other side of the fence. So this is all I see on Sunday mornings, just like that. So it's an opportunity to have him. We're really grateful to have Cy with us and his mother with us today as we talk about Atlantic City. So Sister Nelson and Sister Braxton, we want to talk a little bit about you. Tell us how long you've lived in Atlantic City. We want to talk about Atlantic City, the history of Atlantic City, and how long have you both lived in Atlantic City?
I have lived in Atlantic City all my life, and I'm 95 and a half year old. So I've been here all my life.
95 and a half years in Atlantic City. Sister Braxton?
I've lived in Atlantic City for 88 years.
For 88 years.
In fact, we were both born in the same hospital, which is still there. The Atlantic City Hospital. Only thing they did was build around it. It's still in the same spot.
Really, both of you were born in, you would think, I'm from the South, and my parents and most people I know over 70 were born by midwives. They did not have, they were not born in hospitals at all. That's amazing that Atlantic City had a hospital that 95 years ago that African Americans can go to. So tell us a little bit back about your background, where you came from. You say you were born here. Where did your parents come from?
Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
They said 95 and 88, and they still do service for the church. An usher and a singer.
We got, thank you, Cy. Cy just came on as my co-host, and now he's trying to take over company. But you are absolutely right. We've got I think that is very important for the members of Second Baptist know that both of them still serve. Sister Braxton sings on the senior choir and leads songs, and we love her singing. And Sister Nelson has that wonderful job of ushering at the door. And let me ask, how long you been an usher, Sister Nelson?
Well, the senior ushers was formed first at my house when I first got married, the year after I got married, at 310 North Kentucky Avenue. I'm trying to think of what it was. So I've been ushering about 60 years.
60 years.
About 60 years. Yes.
60 years. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's almost as old as I am. Pretty close to that. And Cy, you're what? You and I are pretty close to
73,
age.
man.
You 73?
Yeah, man. I look good. Geritol does wonders.
73. Okay.
No, we the same age.
Now you're going to get started. Yeah, I was. Wait a minute. Some people probably think I look 73, but I'm sure I'm not 73. Sister Braxton, where did your people come from? They hailed from.
Well, my people came from Wilson and Raleigh, North Carolina, but I became a member of Second Baptist late in my later life because I was a Methodist. I was a member of the Price Memorial AME Zion Church for many, many, many years. I started singing when I was 5 years old. I really thought I was singing opera because we always sang anthems and the hymns. I didn't know anything about gospel music until later on in life. And it sort of happened, I thought I was an opera singer until I met the Baptist people, and they were singing different from the way we were singing. So, and I enjoyed it, so I never went back to the Methodist church. I stayed at Second Baptist and became a member.
We have been tremendously blessed, and sometimes you bring that operatic mode to Second, and we enjoy it tremendously. Well, we want to talk about Atlantic City. You've been in Atlantic City 95 and a half years, 88 years. That's Cy, the mathematician. That's how many years combined we have here today. We don't include our ages, no, because that'd be 200 and something years.
Okay, so that's 95 and 80, so that's 177?
177 years. So Atlantic City has changed over the years. So what changes have you seen in all those years?
First of all, when I was young and coming to and being in Atlantic City, you didn't know there was racism, but you didn't know it. All you knew was where you lived, and it was on the north side of Atlantic City. But you didn't realize that you were in a racist city, and you enjoyed every day.
But what a lot of people didn't know, on the north side, we could not go past Connecticut Avenue or past Arkansas Avenue. Black people, we were like in a little circle, and we had the west side.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go over the bridge, so we were like in a little cubby area, and that's where we lived until later on, when people began to get better jobs and better living conditions, they could move maybe across the bridge to Venice Park. And we had Bungalow Park, which was also uptown in Atlantic City. But we rode our bicycles to Connecticut Avenue and turned around and went back downtown because the white people were all over. So we were just in a little area. But now we can live where we want to live, and I thank God for that part.
So where was, and everyone is giving y'all greetings online. They're glad to see all of you. So what area were blacks concentrated in Atlantic City?
Well, blacks were from New Jersey Avenue. We didn't go all the way uptown. New Jersey Avenue, all the way to Arkansas. That's where blacks were located. And of course, we were on the other side of Atlantic Avenue. We were not really supposed to go into stores from Atlantic Avenue to the boardwalk. We couldn't go to stores. We couldn't go into stores. We couldn't go in to eat above Arctic Avenue. And the stores that we went to were on Arctic Avenue. When we went to shop, Arctic Avenue. But you didn't pay it any attention. I would go into stores on Atlantic Avenue that if I wanted a sandwich, I'd go in there and get the sandwich, but you couldn't eat the sandwich in the store. But I never paid it any attention myself. We went to the movies. One time, a friend of mine took me to the movies, the Royal Theater, and I went into the movies, and I was going up sit in the front of the row, in the front row to see the movie. And she grabbed me by my arm. She said, wait, you can't go. And I said, I can't. And she said, no, we have to go to the balcony. And I did not like it. I never went back to that theater again. But you found all over Atlantic Avenue, the movies, you had to sit on one side. You could not sit where you wanted to sit. So these things kind of bothered me. But other than that, I never really knew what racism was.
So all of you were confined to, but you had a lot of black businesses in Atlantic City at that time. What kind of businesses?
At that time, yes.
Oh, yes.
What kind of
We had
businesses?
stores.
Yeah.
because
And before I go
you-
there, someone is speaking to Earl. Who is Earl? Do we have an Earl
It's
here?
my middle name.
Earl.
Cyrus. Biblical.
Okay, Earl is biblical.
Cyrus is.
I want to know what chapter and verse Earl is. But hey, Earl, thank you for that. Thank you, Brother Aaron, for saying that. Let me know what Si's middle name is. I got him now. I'm going to use that.
I
now.
know.
I like Earl
Whoever
better
that was,
than Si.
thank you. Thank
I
you.
like Earl better than Si. Let the world know
I'm
this
not
is
going to answer.
Earl.
I'm not going to answer.
This is Earl. So I'm sorry. Go talk about the businesses that were here.
That's all right. We had our own restaurants. Arctic Avenue was full of them. We had Tennessee Avenue. We had, I know, 2 restaurants. We had cleaning stores. We had lawyers on the north side.
And doctors.
And doctors.
Yes.
Yes, we had a list of black doctors.
Hmm.
And funeral homes.
Plenty of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And let's see what. Oh, and stores. We didn't have too many stores. We didn't have too many stores where you could go in. Most of them were on corners, and they were of another religion.
Hmm. Like,
And that's where we had to go.
that's
And
right,
that's where we had
because
to go to shop.
we had a Jewish store, it looked like in every neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
a Jewish market.
Mm-hmm.
And people who didn't make much money or whatever, they could have a tab. Like, if you wait until Friday when you got paid to pay your bill,
Mm-hmm.
they allowed you to do that.
Right.
So it was hard times, but I never thought I was poor
Well, none of us
because
did.
I always had. I had the first roller skates on the block.
Mhm.
I had the first ice skates on the block. I had the first bicycle on the block.
That's why you didn't think you was
I had
poor.
plenty. I had plenty of food. I never knew I was poor. I was
We
just
didn't.
yeah.
We didn't know we were poor.
And
No.
then Sunday was exciting to us because we got dressed up and went to church. So I didn't know I was poor.
Well, are we going to come back to that? Si, you did something. You did you did a history on your family and you interviewed your mother. I saw it. It was very well done. Tell us about
It was
that.
called Growing Up Irvin, and because Irvin is my grandparents' name, and my cousin thought it was a great idea to interview my mother because Mom is such a wealth of history, and without any script, for an hour and 20 minutes, my cousin asked my mom questions about my grandparents, all of my uncles and aunts, and Mom just spit this information out like it was written down in front of her. And she's just such a wealth of information. I mean, we found out that, our background, Seminole Indian, my grandfather being from Florida, Seminole from Florida. And I had an uncle who invented something, had patents. There was a time that I think the Chinese consulate in D.C. was owned by my grandparents. They sold that, and that's I think it's still the consulate now, isn't it, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Chinese consulate now in D.C. That was owned by my grandparents.
Japanese.
Japanese. I'm sorry, Japanese. Yeah. But it was you saw it. It was good. It was an hour and a half. It's funny because it was the first time I edited anything full length. It took me 3 months to put that video together, and it was well worth it.
What was surprising about the interview with your mom?
Learning more about my own history that I didn't know about, and just the things that went on in my family, and it's almost one of the things you feel like you came from kings and queens when you listen to what my mom was saying about my mom, my father, my grandfather, my grandmother, and it was so eye-opening, and it changed the way I looked at things, which was really great, and I still look at things differently now.
Ms. Nelson, you said that your parents, one of your grandparents was a slave. Is that right?
Yes, my father's father.
Your father. Can you tell us anything about that?
All I know is that, because I was only 7 when he died. And I know that when he came up, he had so many different kinds of talking. And they used to call him Meanie because he was so mean. And they said that meanness came from the way he was treated as a child. And I imagined also for the way he saw that his father was treated. But other than that, I don't remember too much of him, as far as the slave, what was said. Now I know that my husband's mother was also married to one that had been an ex-slave. And I do have pictures of him sitting in front of what did they call those shacks that they they lived in?
Mm-hmm.
And but they were happy people. They were, because this is the way they lived. And when they were freed, I don't think that they really knew what to do. And my father lost his leg on a plantation in Florida when he was 8 years old. And when he came up here, he went to work for some very wealthy people. And thank God they took him in. They gave him artificial legs. And when my father, from the time I can remember, my father worked a job. He painted people's roofs. He took care of a 16-room house. They put an elevator in it so that he could go up and down on the elevator. I used to go there and babysit for the little kids, and I made 35 cents an hour.
35 cents an hour?
I made 35 cents
Wow. You know, Sister Knox says, thank you, ladies, for this history of Atlantic City. Sister Smartell, Aline Smartell, talked about being raised up on the north side and talked about having a skating rink, a bowling alley, Club Harlem, and YMCA. Tell us a little bit about, you know, we're right. Second is really close to Kentucky and the curb. You know,
KY and the curb.
KY. Well,
Yeah.
KY and the curb.
You have to call it that.
Yeah, and you know, when I first moved here, Club Harlem building was still there. Wonder Garden was still there. Can you tell us a little bit about the entertainers coming in and how that was? Who do you remember? Did you run in, because you had such a small section, and inside you talked about the chicken. What do you call it? Chitlin
Circuit.
I was going to say chicken.
Circuit, yeah.
I was going to say the chicken strut. Chitlin Circuit.
That was the dance in the Chitlin Circuit.
Okay,
Chicken strut. How's that?
Okay, there you go. Thank you for, you know, so tell us about, you know, since it was such a small community and such concentrated with African Americans in such a small area, did you have an opportunity to run into some of those, at that time, some of the stars of the Chitlin Circuit and some of the stars that we know as years grew on and they became television stars versus, you know, other than the Chitlin Circuit?
Well, I don't know too much about the Club Harlem and those places because I really didn't attend there. But
That's what she say now.
No, I'm saying it for real. But we did have a lot of bars, a lot of entertainment places to go, up and down Arctic Avenue, up and down Kentucky Avenue, up and down Baltic Avenues. There was always somewhere to go for entertainment. And then I want to tell you about all the buses that used to bring people to Atlantic City for the weekend. Now, Atlantic City is a resort town. From June to September, it was fine, people everywhere. After that, the city dies. There's nobody here. It's different now because we had the casinos. So people come here to go there. But before then, there was nothing to do after September. So people continue going to the bars, having a good time. But some of the other places slowed down, like Club Harlem and whatever, because being a resort town, people didn't come like they used to. So, but Atlantic City was a fun place to be because we had different organizations like the Elks, the Masons, and we had big parades, always on the north side. We didn't have to go to the boardwalk or wherever for entertainment. We had it right on the north side of town. Also, in our churches, we had pageants, we had teas, we had music programs all the time. We would go to church in the morning and never come back go to church in the afternoon, go to church again at night, because there was always something going on. Our churches were very entertaining back in the day. So we didn't have to go to a lot of places because we had places to go when we came to our churches.
But when you talk about, well, there's two things I want to lift up, but you talked about Slappy White. You know, I don't know about Miles Mabley and
the Chitlin Circuit was a lot of entertainers, minority black entertainers who.
And Cy would know that because Cy himself is a excellent musician. He has that gift from Second, but everybody else in the world knows it. But Second, he has that gift. He's a tremendous bass player.
Well,
but go ahead.
I was a kid.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I was so young that my dad used to have to accompany me to some of the places that I played. They were bars, and one of the places I played when I got older was the Club Harlem. Club Harlem was a place where all the entertainers came in town. Sammy Davis, Lola Falana, some of these names people probably don't even know. But there was Kentucky Avenue, KY and the Curb, right at the corner, there was a place called the Wonder Gardens. And then walk a little further down, there was the Club Harlem. Across the street was the Rendezvous. All of these were clubs that on Friday night and Saturday night, they were packed with people. And I was just a kid. I was, carrying my bass around with me. I was just a kid playing there. And as so many entertainers came in town, you really didn't look at them as stars. They were just like you and I. They would, sit down and talk to you. They were just really cool people. I met Dizzy Gillespie. Talking to him, you would have never known he was Dizzy Gillespie, the big star. And that's just the way it was back then, because this is a place where when they came, they felt comfortable. This is where they were home. I mean, they used to go hang out on the beach. And speaking of, like, Mom was talking about segregation earlier. Mom, can you explain a little bit about the beach and the separation? I think where the Chicken Bone Beach thing came from.
Well, first of all, the Chicken Bone Beach is a name that was given to them, but at least about 50 years ago. But prior to that, it was just Black People's Beach, and it was on the side of the $1 Million Pier, and that's where we would go. But we enjoyed it. We were all by ourselves, and I used to go because some of the entertainers from the Club Harlem used to go there, and they would be in the beach in the daytime. I imagine that they would have their shows and get it finished around 6 in the morning, and then they would go down to the beach, and I saw quite a few stars down there, and I used to enjoy that because they would be having fun, and they would be so real willing to talk to you and so forth. I had taken some pictures of, I can't think of what his name is, but whatever his name was.
Yeah, well, you said earlier you met Mom's Maitland.
Mom's Maitland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And
And just a lot of it. And also, I lived, when I first got married, about a block and a half from the Club Harlem, and I worked as a elevator operator, and I used to have to be to work at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. So I would go walk down there, and they would be out there after they had just finished the entertaining. They would be standing outside, and they would speak to me, and I would just say good morning and keep right on going. And I used to have comments from them, but I kept right on going. And it was just very interesting. Also,
so they were doing cat calls to you during that time. That is.
Well, if I could say one thing, Pat,
But before you do that,
okay.
Sister Arnita Mincy just said she used to work as an elevator operator as well.
oh really?
And came in at the Ambassador Hotel, so that was interesting that both of you. What hotel did you work at?
I worked at the Morton.
The Morton.
Mm-hmm.
So you both you made mention, and I can come back in a minute. So I want to say this before I forgot.
Right.
When you talked about the heyday was from June to September, and then everything died. What did you do to make money, and how did you survive during that lean time of? You're talking about just 4 months out of the year, 4 or 5 months out of the year, and then everything else died.
Mm-hmm.
How did you make it those other 8 months?
Well, people worked in the laundry. The laundry did all the work for the hotels. People worked in, we had bread companies, we had dairy companies. We also had soda companies here in Atlantic City, all on the north side. So people did have jobs later on, but they didn't hire the black right away. It was years before Black people worked in those places. And now I'm going to get back to the Chicken Bone Beach, why it was called there, the Chicken Bone Beach, because people bought their lunch in boxes, like a shoebox with their fried chicken in it. And maybe a biscuit or some bread or something like that, and a piece of cake. That's why it was called Chicken Bone Beach.
I'm sorry, Si, what were you saying? My co-host,
No, I was
go
going to
ahead.
say with Mom, when she was saying that she saw the entertainers when she was going to work, Atlantic City, the Club Harlem was one of the only places in the country that had a breakfast show. The entertainers used to come in and play at 2 in the morning. And I remember I opened for Jean Carn one day, and she's like, this is the only place in the world where they wake you up to do a show at 2 in the morning. So at 6 in the morning, they were just getting off, and that's when they used to go hang out at the beach, and that's when Mom used to cross them, I guess, on the way to work.
So, Si, you worked there. How old were you when you were working? Now, when I came, you talked about the Wonder Garden, and for those that didn't know it, and I think Sister Braxton talked about. I came here almost 30 years ago, and I saw a lot of the bars. There was even right
Every
from the
corner.
church. There was. And I just know it because there was McCurdy's bar on the one end, and right next door was what was right on the corner?
Ike's
Ike's
Corner.
Corner.
Ike's Corner. He had a barber shop, he had a liquor store and a bar, and Wonder Garden was right down the street. And for those that don't know it, we bought the liquor store, we bought Ike's Corner, and we bought the Wonder Garden, and we bought another liquor store down the other side. Was it Crown? Was the other liquor store down the street? We bought that as well.
Wow.
And I'm gonna be honest. We bought both liquor stores that were full of liquor when we bought them, and I don't know what happened to the alcohol that was in it. I know we bought them, but I don't know what happened to it.
They tore it down with the building.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. So, there's a disclaimer with that. I don't know whether the deacon stopped by. I don't know what happened, but I don't know what happened to that. I gotta say, Si, one of your best buddies been commenting about you, and that is sending me text messages. And that's the pastor from the Second Baptist Church in Metropolis of Pedricktown, who's in Florida, by the way, and listening to you. So
I know he's ribbing me. What'd he say?
yeah, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say what he said. You're gonna have an opportunity to come together as well.
Okay, all right.
So, let's talk just about you. Did how old were you when you were going and playing?
I started playing bass when I was 12, and by the time I was 14, I was playing with some of the jazz musicians around. Chris Colombo actually was one of my mentors.
Chris was local, wasn't he a local guy?
Yes, yeah. He was actually in a few, what do they call, the black and white movies. And the talkies, I guess they called them at the beginning. But I got a chance to play with him. There was Mr. Phillips, was a phenomenal bass player. I used to show up and he would go, "Oh man, this guy's coming to take my gig." And I was just a kid. I used to just take my bass with me everywhere. And I would play with different bands. But to get into some of the bars and the clubs, I used to either go with my dad, or there was a gentleman, I think you know Ronnie Somerville.
Oh,
I used to be with Ronnie Somerville a lot. And we used to play. I was like one of the youngest guys around here that was playing with the older guys playing jazz. And I just from there, and then as I got older, casino gambling came when I was in my teens, and I went right from playing the north side, like Kentucky, the KY side, over to the casinos, and then I lost touch with the north side because the casinos had me playing like 6 nights a week, and I got a chance to play with a lot of big entertainers. Then I was in the music union, so I got to play with a lot of different guys. I was like the only kid around. But I just loved music at the time.
You were in the union when you were a kid?
I wasn't in the union. The union was there. I used to get in. I can't say that. Well, I can say it now because Mr. Colombo was the president of the union. But
Okay.
I wasn't in the union and I was playing. But he kind of took me under his wing. And I remember he gave me a life lesson one day. I was doing a gig with him. And he said, "Do you like playing bass?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you like about it?" I told him what I liked about it. And I said, "But I don't like these strings. These strings tear my frets up. And then I have to pay to get my frets done." And he said, "Take that as a life lesson. You pay for what you like." And I still think about that today. And he was a great mentor. He's a great musician. And I think he was, Mom, I think when I was playing with him, he was probably in the 60s or 70s then, and I was a kid. I was like 14, 15 years old.
Well, Mom, how'd you let him go in those places and play, and how did
I
that work?
stopped it.
She did. She did.
I just stopped it, right? So what?
I didn't know at first.
Oh, he was sneaking
My
out.
husband was a musician. He loved to sing.
Oh,
So did
And he
Mom.
took
Mom was a
it.
singer.
Well,
but she's not gonna say anything about that,
No,
'cause-
Mom sang at the church. Mom did a recording for Second Baptist Church. What year was that, Mom?
in 1945.
1945.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
At here at Second, right?
Long time ago.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I know you've got the archive, you pull the archive out. Let's hear that song. We're gonna have to.
Oh,
Do you remember what song that was?
well, I'll tell you, we wanted to sing something we had made up what we wanted to sing, and our pastor did not like it. So we had to sing something else, so we sang. I sang on one side a song in Spanish that he liked. It was I had sang it in a concert that I had given for the ushers when I was in 1945, and I had learned it because at the time I was taking lessons at Union Baptist Temple, and he wanted me to sing that, and then he wanted me to sing his special song.
Who was the pastor at that time?
Reverend Gaines.
Reverend Gaines.
Mhm.
All right. Now, so somebody's asking, are you the one that does the recordings for the church now?
I do the 8 o'clock video.
He does the 8 o'clock and does a phenomenal job. And Sister, we getting a lot of comments. So that's Earl that does that for everybody. Earl does the 8 o'clock service. So the Sister Aline Smart worked at the Mayflower Hotel, and she said she was 13. How are you working at a hotel at 13 years old? You
The
know,
working papers back then, right?
at 13?
14 was
Well, yeah, she said she
that
was there at
time.
13. And what you know is very interesting. The Mayflower Hotel is where Stockton University got its start. They opened up at the Mayflower Hotel almost, well, they just celebrated their 50th anniversary. 50 years ago,
Wow.
Stockton started at the Mayflower Hotel.
Mhm.
And that's just a little history note for Atlantic City. And for those that don't know, I'm on the board of trustees for Stockton, and that's how I know. I just heard that I hear that every meeting where it started. So that's a lot of history as well.
Mm.
Oh, and Earl, they said you do a really good job with the 8 o'clock recording. So
Thank you.
I just want to give you your flowers.
Mhm.
So tell us anything else you want to tell us about Atlantic City and your
Well,
experience
I
here.
just want to say that growing up in Atlantic City it was for children when we were very young. It was fun. We didn't have cars going up and down the street. We had a lot of us, mostly black men. They had carts that they used to pull on their shoulders, selling vegetables. We had, the dairy was behind me where I lived, and so we used to have the horse-driven wagon selling milk. And when we wanted to play in the street, we could get out there and play and have fun, playing wall ball up against the wall. And it was just wonderful. And then going to church, I started at Second Baptist when I was 7 years old. And we were at church, at church all the time. And we just enjoyed it so much. We lived in the church.
Yeah.
I was told I lived in the church.
Now, when you became a member, who was the pastor at that time? Was it Reverend Gaines at that time?
P.W. Williams was just leaving.
P.W. Williams, then Reverend Gaines,
Then was Reverend Gaines.
and then Reverend Stanford.
Stanford.
Yeah, which is interesting. When I first came to Second, those many years ago, I had an opportunity to preach for Reverend Stanford. He was pastoring, I think, Zion Baptist Church in Newark. Yeah, so I got an opportunity to meet Reverend Gaines and Reverend Stanford and the great work he did. So that was really a blessing to be able to share with him at that time. Sister Braxton? Sister Braxton, are you there?
No, I love the schools. I love the schools in Atlantic City. You know, when we went to school, it was all black children and all black teachers. We didn't have white children, and it was a mix. But the schools are still standing, and they're empty.
So
Indiana Avenue School is still standing. New Jersey Avenue School is still standing, empty. And they started building new schools everywhere around them.
no. So where was the
But they're
high
still
school?
standing.
What was the high school?
High
then?
school started at Ohio Avenues across from the hospital. Wasn't that the first high school?
That was the school for technical.
The technical school was at Arctic and Illinois
Illinois,
Avenue.
and then
That was industrial school.
industrial, yeah, because both my brothers went there.
Yes.
So the high school was an industrial school?
No, the high school was an industrial school, but we had a high school also.
Mhm.
That first high school was at Ohio Avenue. The industrial high school was at Arctic Avenue
Avenue.
and Illinois Avenue. So after you left Indiana Avenue School or New Jersey Avenue School, you would go there if you didn't want to go to high school.
Schoolhouse apartments.
Schoolhouse Apartments was the
That's
black
the
high school.
schoolhouse apartment.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the
That was the black high school.
That was industrial school.
That was the vocational school.
Vocational
Yes.
school. Mhm.
Okay. And so, but the high school was on, oh, is that where,
Central.
that's where
Central
Central?
Junior High. Was that it?
Yes.
So Central Junior High was the black high school.
No, it was the first high school, Atlantic City High School.
Wow.
No, the Atlantic City High School was on
Albany?
Albany Avenue.
No, before then.
Yeah, that was.
It's in the history book.
Yeah.
Before then, it was on across from the hospital.
Mhm.
Then they moved later. That became junior high school.
Junior high school.
But was the high school segregated when you went to high school?
With the Atlantic City High School?
It wasn't exactly segregated, but I'll tell you one thing that happened. When I went there in 1941, they had two gyms. And then I didn't find out until later on that they had a pool in one of the gyms, but after they had so many blacks coming in there, they closed the pool and made it a gym. I didn't know that when I went there, but that's what we were told. They didn't want the blacks in the pool with the white girls and white boys.
You know, it's funny, when we were in high school, they used to tell us it was a pool under the floor, and we didn't believe it, but we used to hear the pumps because the pool was still there, and I think they had some pumps that would empty it out, and that was, you know, we talking the late 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
It was there before they built a new high school.
And they also used to have, in the gym, they had for lunch, after lunch, we could go in there, and they had a band that was playing. But we had to have our own place to dance in the corner. We couldn't get on the floor with the whites to dance.
So even in 1942, the school was, the schools were integrated before integration in Atlantic City.
Wow.
Before integration in Atlantic City?
Yeah. Before integration, you could attend, blacks and whites attended the same high school.
Only the high school, not the schools on the
No.
north side.
No, we had our own schools on the north side. But when we got to high school, it was integrated for a while. In the early 40s.
No, that's very interesting.
Mhm.
Very interesting. So I'm really grateful to have you both of you on, and as well as my co-host to come on today. Everyone feels that it's been very informative, and to go back into Atlantic City with all of its rich history. I'm surprised no one talked about the mob in Atlantic City. So you guys were very safe and sequestered in our community. We didn't talk about, Nucky Johnson, and I shouldn't be saying all this kind of stuff. You say, she said, Sister Nelson said, I could have.
We might need a part two, Pastor.
Well, we might,
For that part, I
we
think
might,
you
we
need a
might
part
need to
two.
have
about that.
because there was gambling in Atlantic City before there was gambling in Atlantic City. And so maybe we have to come back. We still got another Sunday before Black History Month is out. Maybe we can have you guys both come back, and maybe also have Sister Watkins come back. I was trying to get her on today, and she told me if she had more time, she would come on. So now you got a whole week, Sister Watkins, and I know you're watching. Because you told me you're going to watch today, so this is your notice. Maybe we'll have. Would y'all come back again next week and be with us?
I'll come back. Yeah, I'll come
Good.
back with Miss Nelson.
All right. So
That
next.
sounds like fun.
They sounds like fun. All
There's a lot
right.
of things we missed.
Si, you gonna come on back? You gonna
You
come
want me
back?
to come
in?
back? So will Sister Days be here too?
No, I know Sister Days.
So I'm going to be your co-host from
You're
now
gonna
on?
be my-
But just for the next week, I guess?
No, I'm gonna be your co-host. I'm gonna be your co-host next week.
I'm gonna be-
since you're trying to take over anyway.
I'm not trying to take
I'll be your co-host. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call Reverend Peterson, and he'll straighten you out before next week, and we'll make this work.
Oh, gee.
But give us a closing remark, tell us anything you would like to tell us, some words of wisdom. We want to hear from all of you, and please, we would love to hear Si play the bass on one Sunday morning. I've been begging Si since I've known he was playing the bass to come play for us at least once.
And that's since you've been here, right?
Yeah, ever since, all this time, and Si has, Sister Nelson, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask you, can you please have Si play for us at least one Sunday? I know Thomas wouldn't mind. I know
Thomas has asked me a few times.
So please, Sister Nelson, I know if you ask him, don't ask him, tell him.
Like
I know
she said, the
he'll
casino stop.
That's
I want
right.
you to stop.
Absolutely.
Go.
You do, and I know he'll do it. But Sister Nelson, can you give us some parting words, something you'd like for us to know, or something that we ought to be a part of, or you just want to impart into all of our friends and listeners wherever they might be?
Well, first of all, I just want to say what a joy it is just to be here. I wish that I could see you all. I just hope that everything continues the way it is as far as the church is getting the way it used to be. I want to be there too.
Yeah, I know.
I want to be there. I miss you all, and I wish that I was looking at you now. But I'm hoping that I will be able to get there regularly like I was. And I ask God to continue to bless each and every one of you, and just know that He's with you all the time, as He is with me. He has just been in my heart. He has just brought me this far, and I hope that you are the same, feeling the same way.
Sister Braxton?
Well, I'm just glad to be a part of this church. I remember so many things as far as growing up. Even though I didn't grow up in Second Baptist, but I grew up in the Methodist church where we were still very busy and always doing something. But most of all, I remember the large organs. I miss organ music so much. Price Memorial had the largest organ, the largest pipe organ on the north side of Atlantic City. Beautiful pipe organ. And I said, I guess I would cry the day they tear that building down because it's in such disarray now. It's just so sad, such a beautiful building. And so many of our churches have disappeared and just left to die, so I really miss that.
Amen.
The church is my hope.
Price Memorial is a beautiful church, and many of these churches had big pipe organs, and really they're becoming a thing of the past, and very few churches today have pipe organs because they're so expensive to maintain. But I do want to, there's a comment that someone made, and I was trying to find it, and it was, they were stating how wonderful it is to have such strong black women who and grateful to sit at their feet and learn, and we want to thank you so much for the, sitting in here. You don't see Sister Nelson's family, Sister Braxton's family are with them today, and they are very proud of their parents, and we're very proud of them to have them as members and still to be so active, and I'm Sister Nelson, I'm thinking of Sister Spriggs, Matilda Spriggs. And Sister Matilda Spriggs would say to me, Pastor, I want to wear out, not rust out. And I'm really grateful for stellar, stalwart people like you have who have been a tremendous example, a tremendous blessing to the community, tremendous blessing to the church. And we're just grateful to have jewels like the both of you be a part of the community, a part of the church, and to have this wonderful, wonderful, rich history to share with us. And so we're going to do part 2 next week. And I'm going to, and normally I close out, but since my co-host is so much better at this than me, and he's going to tell us today whether he's going to come and play with us when, he's going to tell us that today. He's going to make that declaration one way or the other. And we'll do like the America Got Talent. We want y'all to send a vote, send a yay. Come on, Si, come on, do it. Come on, Earl, and play for us and be a benefit and blessing. So we're gonna leave the last word and the closeout to our friend Cy Earl Nelson.
To close out, I just want to real quick. My spiritual foundation came from this lady here, my mom, Helena Nelson. I'm so thankful for her. We used to make jokes about how my parents drugged me when I was a kid. They drugged me to church. And it's just such a great thing to have that foundation. And because, we, as kids, we go to church and then we do our own thing. And I'm so glad that I think it was my 21st birthday, I think it was. I actually gave my life to Christ at a youth convention with Pastor Buster Soares. And
Good friend of mine. Good friend of
yeah,
mine.
and he preached here not too long ago. And then I kind of, we go our own way again. And then I think mom was with me. I gave my life back on New Year's Eve service, and with my mom there with me. And I think my sister was there also. But it's just what these two beautiful ladies have just talked about. I just want everybody to understand, know your history, know where you come from. That way you know where you're going. And these two ladies here have such a wealth of information. Get that wealth of information from your parents, from your grandparents, from anyone older that you can look up to, and just bug them and get it out of them, because you'll know more about yourself when you find out where you came from.
Thank you so much. All of you, tune in next week for part 2 and the message that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the shady side and north side. We're going to talk about the mafia and all those bosses. We're going to talk about all that, the liquor steals and all that kind of stuff. The rum runners and all that. We're going to deal with all of that next week. We got the history right here. And we're gonna have an extra guest with us, and so thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And my other boss over there telling me, it's time to wrap up. Thank y'all so much for sharing.
There's a poll on there.
There's a poll on there.
Oh, don't tell me.
We got a poll on there. We got a poll running already for Sided Play. All right, thank you so much, and we're grateful. And to our friends Alvin all the way in the Philippines, we're grateful to thank you for sharing with us tonight. Listen, be blessed, everybody. See you next week, same time, same people.